Joining me on Impact Catalyst is Siomara Bridges Mata. Welcome.
Thank you, Joe. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. So you're the Director of Community Initiatives and Advocacy for Frameworks. You're participating in the upcoming Fast Pitch with Social Venture Partners, and I'd love to get to know a little bit about Frameworks. Can you give us the 101 on what Frameworks does?
Yes, so we are very excited about this opportunity to be represented in Fast Pitch this season. I have been with Frameworks for 4 years now, and the organization is the heart of Tampa Bay. We focus on building the emotional intelligence of youth throughout Hillsborough County primarily, and we partner this year with about 50 schools and a number of youth-serving organizations. So what our work looks like, it can be professional development with educators or workshops with families and workshops with youth service professionals. So it can be with mentors or any organization that provides work with youth. And our framework is using social and emotional skills to build one's emotional intelligence.
That's great. And that is a complicated undertaking because, while there are some some consistent methods and consistent attributes, everybody is different, has different situations. So can you give us an example of some of the workshop topics and methods that you use?
Yes. So we usually we have a PD catalog that is probably way too long to share, but we always start with foundational, and we are foundational. So an example of that could be just foundational emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? What are the 5 core competencies that help one build their emotional intelligence? And why is it important? Because that's often missed. Like, what are the key components to developing one's social and emotional skills? What will that look like long term? And what are the lasting impacts of supporting one's growth in these areas? And then, of course, with our educators and our youth service professionals and families, it's how do I apply this? So the workshop will cover strategies and tools that you can implement immediately after you're done with that workshop or training.
And one of the areas, obviously, that is very impactful in kids' lives that I know you deal with a lot is bullying. How do you see the state of bullying in schools today? And how have you felt you've made a sort of a positive impact on that?
Yes, that's a great point. So to go a little bit further back to the inception of Frameworks, it started in the early 2000s, and initially it was the Ophelia Project, and it was to support relational aggression within girls, and bullying is one of those key areas, unfortunately. And since then, it evolved to not only just working with girls, but also working with boys. And that's how Frameworks came about. And it was always with the idea of how can we support youth to be more connected to themselves and each other. And to your question, bullying, I think, is going to be around. Until we are human, it's going to be around. But with the work that we do, we're educating our adults with these tools and with these strategies to support the youth. A short story, just thinking of myself as a parent. My son is 5 and he started VPK when he was 4. So last year, it was in the middle of the pandemic, and he's 4 and he came home and he was talking about, how the kids were just saying things to him and how they called him a bully. And I said, honey, what does a bully mean? And he said, bullying means that I'm a bad kid. So I am emotionally intelligent. I do this work, so I was able to navigate that. But I just thought about how many families or, students in particular, it's about the kids, how they're not equipped with these tools to just work through that and what that can turn into down the line. So bullying is still prevalent, it's still present, and there's a way out. And I see that being social and emotional growth, understanding oneself, being able to identify with our feelings. We don't say they're good or bad emotions. It's comfortable and uncomfortable, and normalizing that. But if I didn't have the tools to support my son through that, and he goes on thinking he's a bad person, what that can turn into is bullying of others, right? It will just repeat itself. It will affect his work in the classroom later on. So these are critical skills that, affect our young people personally, academically, and then one day professionally. All this that they're building, their foundation of their social and emotional skills, is gonna affect their professional lives as well.
That starts to really build some insight into all the facets of what can come out as bullying. It's really all ties into power dynamics, and sometimes just exerting power over someone can to the person being exerted over feel like they're being bullied, even though it's not the traditional name calling or pushing or whatever. And then by the same token, people who feel powerless or feel like they're doing something wrong, that may express itself as bullying. So it really just comes down to that emotional awareness, as you said.
Yes, and in today's age, we're battling something different probably than what they were years ago when it comes to cyberbullying as well. Social media is at the forefront of our young people's lives, and them having access to that, and that contributes to their well-being as well.
And that actually perfect segue. That was my next question is what's your sort of philosophy and recommendations to parents and to educators as to how to how much social media is too much. It's somewhat inevitable at this point. So what strategies are there to help kids navigate it safely and healthily? What's sort of the guidance you give on social media?
Yeah, so we actually have a workshop. A part of our programming is a program called Teens in Action, and it's a civic engagement and leadership program for grades 9 through 12. So you can imagine teens, they're heavily on social media. And one of our workshops, it talks about how to navigate social media and talking about them being digital zombies and how they can, work through that. And there is, I would recommend anyone to visit the Center for Disease Control. They have great parameters around, how much screen time is healthy for young people. We're not saying completely take it out of their lives, because there are some definite pros to them being connected and them feeling, an opportunity to reach out or connect with their peers and do research. So there are some pros to that. But when it becomes the point where the social media is managing them and they don't have clear boundaries, we talk a lot about the self-management competency of time management, being able to manage your time effectively. So being intentional about how much time you're using. Our devices are incredible. They have so much that they can do that we can utilize it more to where it doesn't manage us. So, for example, you can look up how much hours you are on social media, and maybe setting goals to set that back. They have a app that you can change the color of your notifications. You can put your phone in a grayscale where it's not so much enticing to have to see it and want to go on. So at a certain time, you can put that on. So it's just really being knowledgeable on those tools and strategies to navigate that. a big part of it also is our communication. So we have a workshop for families called Deepening Conversations with Our Kids. So if it's anything, communication is at the heart of being able to connect with your young child and meeting them where they are. And there's strategies and approach. Rather than talking at them, you talk with them. And that will begin to build trust with our young people. And this can be done at home. Mm-hmm.
So you work with schools, you work with your youth service groups. You have on the website, what are some of the ways that the public can plug in and connect with frameworks?
So if you visit our website, myframeworks.org, you'll be able to access a ton of resources, and it's broken down by category. So if you're a family, parent, caregiver, you can find resources that will support you. We have a area for educators, youth service professionals, and just information that will be helpful to you free of charge. So that can be a great resource.
And we mentioned at the beginning of our conversation that you're going to be participating in Fast Pitch, working with social venture partners, which includes some seminars themselves on operations. And what are sort of your hopes for new things you want to offer or different ways you want to evolve your operations that you might come out of working with social venture partners?
Yeah. So right now we are in, I said, about 50 schools this year. And there are over about 300 within Hillsborough County. So that is just 1/6 of the 7th largest school district. And one of the challenges outside of, funding and resources, which, many nonprofits are seeking, it is our reach and our impact. So our hope with this is we're in the early stages of planning for a Frameworks Institute. And this will allow us to have a platform where educators, adults can access the platform and receive these workshops and training. And we will not have to have a facilitator there, but it will be self-paced, asynchronous workshops that they can access at their own time. So we're in the early stages of that, but our hope is to seek funding to support this social venture where we can reach more individuals with this work.
That's great. That sounds like it could be really impactful. It's such important work. Wonderful. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you at Fast Pitch and continuing to follow your growth and success. Siomara Bridges Mata, thanks for joining us on Impact Catalyst.
Thank you for having us.